Hello, my name is Leroy Blevins. Welcome to Mysteries and Histories. In this episode here, what I want to do is talk about the discoveries I made in the JFK assassination and explain a little bit more on things I've covered, things I've discovered, and talk a little bit more about the type of research I've done. For the past 13 years now, I've been posting my research into JFK assassination, and I have uncovered a lot of stuff in this assassination of JFK. And the things I've covered and the things I've found and stuff, I go through a lot of heat over because of my research didn't match anybody else's research. People's asked me thousands of questions and stuff. I try to answer as much questions as I can in a day. Okay. But it's kind of hard because not when when you're facing thousands of questions every day for the research I've done, which a lot of researchers don't even try to attempt to take their time out and try to answer any questions. But when I did my investigation, my research into this case, I didn't do it for any fame or money and stuff like that. As I keep on pointing out, okay, like in the beginning, I didn't write no books on the case or nothing else like that because I believe that everybody should know, see the evidence and know the truth on what really took place that day. And, just a lot of things, and like I said, when people view my videos and stuff like that, they don't see how much time that's actually spent into it. They don't see how much hours or how much money spent into it or anything else like that. Okay, just like when do research, you gotta, as a researcher, when you find something, you have to make sure, and that's what I do. I make sure. Okay, I find more evidence before I even present anything. And you also have to question yourself as well. Okay, you got to come up with questions that these answers to as well when you're doing investigational research and stuff. I've done all this, and I'm the only researcher. Okay, usually when people does research, they base it on a story, and they just go with that story. They don't investigate that story or that eyewitness and stuff. That's what I did. I went ahead and I investigated that story. I investigated that person to see if their story fits in or if it don't, or if it's just, somebody out to make money. I also go over all the false claims that was made. And I call them false claims. At the time, it wasn't false claims. I just went over all the claims, which takes a lot of time and researching and figuring things out and try to understand this and try to look outside that box, try to look at it from their point of view. All this stuff I've done. Okay, now remember, when I said I've done, is I'm the one that done it. Okay, I didn't send photo films out to see if there's, altered. I didn't send images out to have this person look at it, that person look at it. I've done all the investigation. I've done myself. I've analyzed all the films myself. I lined up all the films myself and images. I colorized all the images to pull out more details, and that even takes a lot of process. Just like when I made sure, like when I was doing colorizing Mormon photo, okay, I had to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth to make sure nothing was added into the images. And just make sure only colors added to it, nothing else is added to it. This is a long process you have to go through in doing this, and it takes hours upon hours. Okay, I had to cover, as a researcher, I had to cover all the claims are made, all the stories that's told and stuff. Other researchers, they just do their research based on their findings, and that's it. Do they answer questions? They answer some questions, but they don't answer them all. Do they pinpoint exactly when this image was taken or when that image is taken? They don't do none of that stuff. I've done that. I've done things in the JFK assassination that no one's possibly could imagine to do or take the time to do it. Okay, when they talk about a film, okay, just like the Zapruder film, okay, I went and bought the same exact camera and the same type of film, analyzed it, go over it, and everything else like that. I sent away, because even a lot of researchers said, well, how do you get clear copies of the film? How did you get clear images? How do you get this image? Because my image I have is blurry and stuff. is because I order first-hand copies. I don't order, you can't get the originals, but I order first-hand copies of the images, of the films and everything else. I don't order anything that's third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh generation copies, because you're not going to find nothing on them. And if you find something on them, it might be false information. So that's why I had to order everything firsthand. Okay, firsthand generation copies. That's what I had to do. There is a lot of things that I had to do in the past 13 years. You know, a lot of time I had to spend into it, colorizing images, piecing everything together, going over everybody's stories. Because see, I have to remember, when we're going to use an example here. Like I said, I'm not saying nothing bad about no researchers or nothing else like that. I can't, because it's not right to. Okay, and you don't want to. Okay, I give them respect, even though a lot of them don't give me respect, but I give them respect still. But when you're doing an investigation, okay, the type of investigation I had to do is, you have like Robert Groden over here, you have Jim Myers over here, which I'm going to use some top names so people understand. You have Jim Fetzer over here, and you have another person over here. You know, I had to go over each one of their stories, and I investigate each one of their stories. I had to investigate each one of their stories. So not only I'm investigating my research, but I'm also doing investigations on their research and stuff, and see how they come up with this conclusion. How did they say, well, the gunshot came from here, or the gunshot came from there? Okay. And it's just, you know, a lot of things I had to go over and go through. Okay. And a lot of evidence, and a lot of things I never even talked about, because the pure simple fact of it is, like I said, I don't want to put nobody else's research down. I don't really want to talk about other people's research and stuff like that, because it's their research. It's not mine. It's theirs. Okay. And I'm not, like I said, I don't try to put anybody down. I try to look for the answers. Okay. Other researchers do not look for the answers. They're worried about trying to tell that story. I need to know the story, but I also need to present the evidence as well. Okay. They'll tell a story, just like when I point out time and time again when they said, you know, the fatal headshot came from behind a picket fence. Okay. Only thing I ask for is, show me the evidence. Show me the angles. Show me, you know, if the shot can be taken from that location without any distractions or anybody in their way. Place the people in the positions so we can see if that he has a straight shot or have a clear shot. They don't do none of that. Okay. I've done all that. Okay. I've go in details and everything else. I position people in the cars. I look at the angles. I look at the, you know, line of fire, make sure that nobody would, you know, if there was somebody in there construct a shot or anything like that. I look at all this in one. Okay. And I go more in depth and more in detail. A lot of researchers don't. They just, all they got to do is just say, you know, this eyewitness is, which I'll pull up something right here. They'll say this eyewitness here, okay, and this eyewitness here. All right, we'll just pull up two of them for now. Or and this eyewitness here. Let's do Gene Hill. Let's get Gene Hill into it. This one, and this one. They'll say these three people say there was the shot came from behind the picket fence area. Then they'll go up with this right here, and we'll bring up James Files. Okay, just for a moment, which I'm using as an example. Okay, I'm using an example. So let's bring all this up. This person here says, and this person here says, and this person here says, and then they'll show us this, and this person right here. Okay, they said that this eyewitness said the shooter was behind a picket fence. This shooter says it was, excuse me, I shouldn't say shooter. Sorry about that. This eyewitness said the assassin was behind a picket fence. This person here says the assassin was behind a picket fence. This person here said the assassin was behind a picket fence. This guy here says he was the assassin behind a picket fence. And then they show this badge man as their evidence right here, and these stories right here. However, like I point out in my research and stuff, how can we believe them? Is Ed Hoffman telling the truth? Is Beverly Oliver telling the truth? Because she says she was the babushka lady. Is Gene Hill telling the truth? Is James Files telling the truth? Now, none of their stories matches the badge man. Okay, so if none of these stories matches the badge man location, that leaves that. Now, her story does not match his story, so that leaves that. Her story does not match his story or any other stories, so that leaves that. This is how we break down their evidence. Now, his story doesn't match his story or anything else, so boom. So to believe this one story, we have to eliminate all them other stories. Do you see what I'm saying? This is what I had to do. Okay. Like I said, a lot of researchers don't do that. They'll sit there and put all them together and say, here's your witnesses, here's the testimony, and the account of the person said he was an assassin, and here's the badge man image. Okay. Even though they don't match, but they said they're all behind a picket fence. There's your evidence. And that's it. Nothing more, nothing less. That's the evidence. Excuse me. Okay. But the questions don't arise. Well, we're talking about the fatal headshot and why Governor Connolly was shot. Okay. Is Beverly Oliver really the babushka lady? Is there any evidence to show that she was the babushka lady? Is there any evidence that Ed Hoffman's story was true? Is there any evidence that shows Jean Hill was true? Yeah, Jean Hill was there. But when we view the Zapruder film, we see her looking at the police officer. She wasn't even looking at towards the picket fence area. As I point out, and I show this in my research, and I made that discovery. Okay. And I show this, and she claimed that Mrs. Kennedy was holding a dog and everything else. But when that's brought out, they say, "Oh, well, she must have been mistaken by the flowers." And then when we go over first testimony, you point out and say, "Well, she says here that she heard the shots, but she didn't see where the shots came from." And all of a sudden, she gets a book deal and everything else. Her story changes. The FBI, CIA's after her, the government's after her, and all this other stuff. Then why didn't the government take her out after she brought out the story? Again, they're just basing everything on a story. Just like I said, okay, I had a lot of things to go through, which no other researcher had to. I went through more torment over this case than any other case. But like I said, nobody understands the discoveries that was made here. Okay, look at the discoveries I made. This is not even the start of everything. Okay, this is not even the start of it. Okay, we got the Zapruder film. I show 12 of the 13 shots that we can see in the film. We got shot number 1. We go in detail how the shots came in play and how they worked out. I got total of all shots that were taken, as you see right here. We have a total of all the shots that people missed, that people actually missed. We can see the bullet impacted Governor Connolly's back. All these discoveries were made by me. Then we have the fingerprints on the bullet casings. No one's never seen these before. No one's never, viewed them or anything else or even talked about them until I found them, until I present them. Me and my friend Guy Cooper found these prints on 2 of the bullet casings, okay, and found them. I lined them all back up, put them back in their locations and stuff. I found out some of these were mislabeled, as you see right here. I even go in detail. And I said they'd mislabel it because they have this one here as 245 when this is actually 245 over here, and 244 is right here. So these two was mismatched, mismarked and stuff, as I point out. Okay, that's more discoveries that I made. Okay, excuse me. I'm the only person that lines up each of the films and each of the images. Okay, there's people out there that lines up films here or there, but I put everything in time frames, which no other researcher has done that. Okay, no one has time frames. The whole assassination took place with under 14 seconds. Okay, around 14 seconds is the total time of the whole assassination. No one knows that, but I do. As you see right here, I got the time frames of each one of the shots based on the Zapruder film, starting with frame 133. We know the time frame in between each one of the shots. So this indicates, it shows us that we know there was 2 more shots fired when each other shots was fired. So we know there was other shots fired at the same time. Okay, I made this discovery. The manhole cover, no one ever really talks about the manhole cover shot stuff. I show photographic evidence, which I point out and I view and stuff, and I show people this evidence and stuff. And now today we can go see them 2 bullet holes still there today. Okay, like I said, there's a lot of discoveries I made in the JFK assassination. And to place all of that evidence into a video would take a long, long time. Okay, we're talking about 4 or 5 hours alone of all the discoveries I made. Okay, there's a lot of things now in the JFK assassination that I found that people don't understand. Okay, because you're seeing a little bit here, you're seeing a little bit there. They say they watched this video and they seen my videos, but there's some videos they missed because they said, well, maybe can you explain this, explain it? Well, I already made a video. It's out there, it's already out. Okay. But like I said, there's a lot of evidence that I've uncovered. As you see here, just, looking at this, as you see right here, look at this. Now, how many researchers out there this is just not even a partial of it, shows this much evidence? Okay. They can't show this much evidence because all they have is the story. Okay. They'll have a few images out there, but most of it's just a story. Just like, okay, Oswald. When we look at the backyard image, okay, they said, well, this is the Carcano and this is a revolver. Well, we've proven them wrong because it's not the Carcano revolver, because I went ahead and looked more into that image, the backyard image. It was taken by Oswald's wife. They did live at the address. That image was developed on February 5th, which is 1 month before he bought the Carcano rifle and the revolver. So we see here, now Oswald has to have another rifle and another revolver. Well, the revolver was the same revolver that he sold his brother for to Robert for some of $10. Now we know he has another rifle here, plus he also owed the Carcano rifle in March, okay? So the Carcano rifle was the decoy rifle, as I point that out, because it was never fired, and they said it was never fired that day, and it's in the records, okay, which I show this. It's in the records, and it was set, the scope was set for a left-handed shooter. Okay, so there's two things that prove that, hey, well, that ain't the rifle. All they did was find Oswald's palm print on it, and it was registered under A. Heidel, which is the ID that he used, but that rifle was not used. So Oswald had to have another rifle. That's another reason why I went more in depth into this investigation to find out, did Oswald have another rifle? Because that rifle there had to have been a decoy rifle. And that's what I point out, and that's what I find the evidence on and stuff like that, because I look for that. I go in depth. Okay, people didn't know that was a decoy rifle. Okay, just like when I sit there and I point up, here's a guy right here that says, the tramps were part of it. So I find that evidence and say, yeah, the tramps were the gunmen inside shelter number 3, which I point that out. Okay, but they're going to sit there, and like I said, when we're looking at their stories, I had to sit there and look at, well, they said this is Charles Harrelson here. But over here, they said, no, wait a minute, this is Frank Sturgis. So you have one researcher over here, which is an expert. You have another researcher over here, which is an expert. But both of these got two different stories. Frank Sturgis or Charles Harrelson. Do you see what I'm saying? As this one certain tramp. So who do we believe? So I had to investigate and said, well, let's see if that's Charles Harrelson. Well, no, it's not Charles Harrelson. Well, let's see if it's Frank Sturgis. Well, no, it's not Frank Sturgis. So when I bring that out and say, well, it's not Charles Harrelson, it's not Frank Sturgis, I get attacked for it. Okay, I get attacked for it. Because all I'm doing is trying to find out, is this the truth? That's all I'm doing. That's the main key fact into the JFK assassination. We heard the stories time and time again. We went over 50 years of hearing the same story. I'm 50 years old now. Next month I'll be 51. Okay, the past 13 years, we're talking days and talking nights. Days, weeks, months, years. I've been doing this investigation, plus investigations into other stories as well. Finding the answers. When I come, just like today, this morning, I got up early this morning, put a lot of this, going through a lot of files to bring up some images and stuff like that. So when I make my video today, which is this one here, I can show some of this evidence and the discoveries that I made into this case that no other researcher done and no other researcher can find. That's what I'm saying. Okay, I've looked at all the cases. I've looked at over all the stories and the eyewitness accounts and everything else and documents and warrant commission reports and everything else. I went through it all. But as a researcher, we have to have evidence. We have to show that. Just like when people sit there and tells me that the Zapruder film was altered, and I show no, it wasn't altered in any way. I still get backlash from that. Oh, well, I agree with you on this, but I disagree with you on that. Which I don't blame people, okay? Everybody has their own opinion. Don't get me wrong. Because I even have researchers says, well, yeah, I can see your point there, but you got to look at it this way. Or I look outside that box all the time. I look at it this way. I looked at it their way and everything else and all this. But they don't understand that to present facts, you have to have the evidence. Just like when I found a gunman behind shelter number 3, I had to make sure they was there. I had to make sure we see it from different angles. Just like, let's point this out. Let me show you right here. Okay. Now we have the Mormon photo shows them with rifles in their hands. We have the Orville Nix films that shows shots being fired from the window and right from here on the side of the shelter. We have the Darnell film that shows the side view. So we have the front view, side view, and a long angle view. And then we go, Bronson film shows us a different angle of it, showing the shots came from this shelter and stuff like that, you know. Then we have the view of this gunman right there as well. And then when we line these films up and these images up, we can see the shots being fired, we see the shots being taken. Okay, we can see. Okay, now you got to keep in mind, we have Mary Mormon here, we have Orville Nix over here, we have Darnell over here, we have Bronson over here. They're in different locations, and all these different locations showing us the same spot, shelter number 3, showing us the gunman with rifles, aiming rifles, firing rifles from the locations where the bullets made contact with. Because we're getting a full view, because we got Zapruder here, Nix here, Bronson here, Mormon here, Darnell here. Okay, we got all these views going right here, okay, in different locations, and all these locations, all these people took images of these two gunmen inside of shelter number 3 and the shots they took. This was overlooked. I made this discovery because this is what can be seen in the films and images. But again, we go right back to everybody goes, and then we have the eyewitness accounts, and then we have Mr. Zapruder saying the assassin was behind him at first in his first testimony and stuff. We have the Newman saying the shots came from directly behind him. What's directly behind him? Shelter number 3. So their story fits. Governor Connolly said he only heard 2 shots. The only 2 shots he can hear as close to him was shelter number 3, as you see right here. Shelter number 3 is the only one that can show, you know, the shelter. And then he said he heard the first shot, which was the fatal headshot to JFK. He was turning around to his right. And as he was turning around to his left, which we see in the Zapruder film, then he heard the second shot and he felt the blow in his back. And we could see him turn to his left, and, you know, the gunshot takes place, and then you feel the blow in his back, which we can see because we see the bullet impact in his back, and then he falls over into his white slap, as he claims. So his story is true. The Newman story is true. Mr. Zapruder's first testimony is true. So see, we have all this stuff to back it up. We have the location. We got the view of that location now. We got the view of the shots they took. We have the eyewitness accounts to back up that location. We have the testimonies that's fit into the story. But then again, people don't believe that fatal headshot came from the shelter. They still want to keep on saying it's from behind a picket fence. And I've even made videos and I talk about this. And this is why I said people don't understand my full research. When I look at these, when I go over this, okay, just like a video I made yesterday. Okay, any shots from the picket fence, we got a block wall here is going to block this shot from in here, so that eliminates that badge man. Then we got these 3 people that stand on the steps right here, plus we got trees right here. That's going to eliminate a location from here. So I said, well, we only have 2 locations, which I agree. Yeah, we have 2 locations that a gunman could took a shot. But as you see here, if JFK was shot right here and we placed everybody back in the vehicle and stuff like that, he would have been hit here, but the bullet would have exited right here. Do you see what I'm saying? The bullet would have exited right there. Okay, and it would have actually struck Jackie in her arm. The bullet would have. Okay, but none of that ever happened. Do you see what I'm saying? So we have to look at all these facts. But I still, like I said, I get the heat from everybody. Okay, I go in details on the Zapruder film of what frames they take out. Actually, when I sit there and point to people, okay, when we look at the Zapruder film, I even point this out. When we look at the frames of the assassination, okay, let me see. Well, I should have it here. Hopefully I got it in here. All right, the fatal headshot, okay, they said, well, the number is misplaced. So I went ahead and I did investigation because a researcher did say that the numbers were not the same numbers and stuff because the fatal headshot didn't happen on frame 313, it happened on something else. So I did an investigation into that. And then come to find out, yeah, the fatal headshot actually took place by frame 682 of the Zapruder film on side B. Okay, but when they took the other frames out and they're just using the frames, and as I point out, they're only using the frames that shows Elm Street, so that's the only ones they're going to number. So when they did it that way, frame 682 ends up turning out to be 313 of the Zapruder film. So you see what I'm saying with them taking them frames out, and the frames they took out was Mr. Spruder's family, Mrs. Setzman and stuff, and then the end of the frames of the film that was left over from side B. Them frames they took out because there wasn't no sense in keeping them in there. But as I point out, I know exactly when the fatal headshot occurred, which was by frame 682, but they made it to frame 313 because they're just using a part of Elm Street, which I go into detail and tell people that as well. So see, people didn't know this. Now, people say they viewed this film 1,000 times or 100 times and stuff. Why didn't they notice anything that we see in the film? Okay, just like the babushka lady. Not one of them till I pull it out and I show the discovery I made of the babushka lady's light comes on underneath. Now, if it was on top of the camera, that would have been a flash and stuff, but it'll only be one frame, and then maybe another frame that shows another flash. Okay, that means she's taking pictures. But remember, this is daytime, so you don't need no flash. But she does turn on a light. This is a signal light, and I show people this. Now, people says they went over this Zapruder film 1,000 times. Why didn't they capture that? Why didn't they see that? Do you see what I'm saying? Why didn't they see the impact of the bullet entering Governor Conley's back? Why didn't they see that street sign get hit by a bullet right here? Why didn't they see that street sign right here? That's on a lamppost here. Why didn't they see the bullet hitting here? Why didn't they see the bullet striking the manhole cover? Okay, right here. And then right there, and then the bullet ricocheting upward. Why haven't they seen that? Okay, and then when if they seen that and they go back over the files and images and stuff and say, well, we got Secret Service agents and police officers looking over the manhole cover, and there was a bullet retrieved there, which we see also in the videos. We see in the video, in the films and images and stuff. We see them coming down picking it up. Then we have the eyewitness accounts, which I just saw her image just a few seconds ago here. I have her image in here. I know I do have her image in here. One of the eyewitnesses about the manhole cover, which I wanted to pull up. So like I said, I made that discovery as well, which a lot of researchers don't even talk about that. Okay. They don't even talk about her or, the manhole cover. Like I said, right here's the manhole cover. Today we see them both bullet holes still. We can still touch them and prod them and everything else. So I go ahead and I show this. All right, well, she's in here somewhere. Like I said, there's a lot of pictures here. Okay, unless I want to go through this way. But it's going to take too much. Here she is right here. I knew she was here. She said the manhole cover concrete got hit by a bullet and they retrieved the bullet there. But no one paid attention to her story. Okay, just like we sit there and hear people like these doctors. Okay, now let's look at this first. We're going to go first hand now. As I point out, you have the doctor saying the blowholes right here and stuff as they point out and stuff like that. Here's the blowhole and stuff, right? But now let's go to the testimonies from eyewitnesses. Where's we got the Newmans right here. Okay, we have the Newmans right here. Okay, their first testimony. Mr. Zapruder's testimony of where JFK's head opened up. Okay, now I know we have Mrs. Newman in here too as well, which I'm going to bring this up. Okay, because like I said, this proved from here, she is right here. So let's go ahead and bring all this up. Okay, let's bring all these up. Now they said to blow holes right here in the back of JFK's head. But where's the Newmans talking about that shot where JFK's head opened up at? Where are they showing? And even Mr. Zapruder, where's he showing that head shot came from? Okay, they said right here, right here, right here. See, same location, same location, same location, same location. Their testimonies, front row center now, people, front row center. They said right side of JFK's head opened up, right here. But it don't match this. So all these people telling a lie. So see, we got to look at as a researcher, who's telling the lies? Is it this here or this here? We have eyewitnesses say the side of the head opened up here. Just like the babushka lady and all them other ones. Okay, all these false stories. So I had to file through every story and see who's telling the truth. Okay, I even sit there and tell people when they sit there and say, well, what do you think about Officer Tippett or about, Jack Ruby? I look at them, as I said, in 3 different murder cases. Everybody else places them all in one assassination. Okay, they place all these people in one assassination, but it's 3 different murder cases, as I point out, and I tell people. That's 3 different murder cases. Officer Tippit's one murder case. JFK assassination is a murder case. When Jack Ruby shot Oswald, that's another murder case. Okay, there are 3 different murder cases. Yeah, 2 of them happen on the same day, and then all 3 of them has something to do with Oswald. But they're different murder cases, done at different times in different locations. You see what I'm saying? So see, there's a lot of things that researchers don't understand, or people don't understand about my research. Just like when they sit there and said Oswald, couldn't have been on the 6th floor and run down all them steps and then be in that front of that Coke machine in the lunchroom on the 2nd floor within 90 seconds. Well, as I point out, no one had a stopwatch that day. But is there a way? I went ahead, did my investigations, looked into it and everything else, and there was a way. The elevator. How I found out there was an elevator there? Because I was looking at the floor plans and stuff, and then I sit there and said, well, okay, well, we go back to this document here. And this document states over here where they said Oswald was left on the 6th floor at 12 o'clock when everybody else went down lunchroom because they took the elevator down. And they send, the elevator back up to Oswald. Oswald could get on the elevator, write it down, walk out off the elevator, just turn to the right, go through the door, and he's right in front of the Coke machine. He wouldn't be out of breath, and he wouldn't be sweating or out of breath or anything else, right? And he could do it within that 90 seconds. So you see, there has to be something there. Okay, there has to be something there. Just like everybody wants to say this Wallace image. A thumbprint was found there, and Malcolm Wallace, I think is his name. And they said, oh, no, he was there too because of this. But then come to find out it was professionally done by this lady here, by Joan. And she says, no, it was not a match. So see, I also present this as well. Okay, I find gunshots in other films and stuff, just like the shots to the steps, which we see right here in the Muchmore film. A bullet strikes up here and ricochets upward. That's why you see reactions from these guys right here. Okay, that's seen in the Muchmore film. So it's not just seen in the Zapruder film, and it's not. I'm showing you things I've seen in other films. Okay, they're talking about the Zapruder film being altered, but they're not talking about the Orville Nix film or this film or that film. And I'm showing you these images and stuff from these other films and other images. Okay, that shows that shots being fired or anything else, which is the fatal headshot and the shot to JFK and Governor Connolly. Okay, I also present evidence of, well, JFK didn't go back and to the left. He actually just went to the left, as we see in the Zapruder film and as we see in other films. We never see JFK go completely back and then over to his left. Okay, for him to go completely like that, this is how it would have to end up. He would have been shot here, right in the forehead, to go back, and then he had been shot here to go over to the left. So he would have had to went boom, boom, like that. You see what I'm saying? I do these investigations, and I go over the motions of it, and I see if this could happen or that could happen. Okay, the only way JFK would have went back and then to the left, he would have had been shot here and here like that. So he would have went back and then over to the left, because it had been something to push him over to the left. But when we watch this Zapruder film, we don't see him go back to the left as they want to keep on portraying it, which I never did understand that when they tell their story, well, he went back and left by the Zapruder film. Remember, they said the Zapruder film was altered, but they're going to use this as evidence. That's what I'm talking about. And he went back and then he went to the left. But when you view the film as anybody would, if you view the film, I'm sitting there studying like, well, okay, when's he going to go back and to the left? I'm seeing him going to the left, but where's he going back and to the left? They tell the story, but they have no evidence to back it up. Do you see what I'm saying? Because when you look at the evidence that they're portraying that he went back to the left, you will see that, no, that never happened. So who's lying about it? They have to be lying that say he went back into the left, because we're not seeing that. In any of the films or any images, we're not seeing it. Just like when I tell people about altering. What we see in this Zapruder film, the right side of JFK's head opens up. Okay, here's the reason why it opened up. Now, I've made videos on this. It's in my book, and I go into full details and stuff like that. In frame 229, JFK was shot in the back of the head. The bullet entered 15 centimeters. The bullet stopped. Okay, it did not exit. And people says, oh, a bullet can't enter your brain. It's got to have no. There is a lot of times where people's getting surgery and stuff. That bullet enters, but it never exits. Okay, it never exit. There's been war stories told by my father and my grandfather and stuff, where they told me that someone shot in the head and they had to go in his brain and retrieve the bullet. Okay, and there's people shot in the chest and the leg and stuff. The bullet was still in there, and that's why they did surgery and stuff like that. They took the bullet out. There was an entry wound, but no X wound. Do you see what I'm saying? Same as we see here. That's one of those coincidences where the bullet entered JFK's back of his head, went in 15 centimeters and stopped. And then, by coincidence, with the car moving, JFK in a certain position, when this gunman took his shot, it struck the other bullet that was already lodged inside of JFK's brain. And when the bullets make contact, only thing it's going to do is like a ricochet, it's going to hit that solid piece and then come back out this way. That's why we have the explosion right here. So we have the entry and the exit wound all in one section of his head. And that's why when the bullets went boom, made contact, JFK's head opened up. This is why they only found bullet fragments. So when both bullets collide, it exploded like a little bomb, and JFK's head opens up, and all we're going to have is fragments. It's like a grenade. You take a grenade and you throw it, it blows up. All you're going to have is fragments from it. That's the same thing we're going to see here. It's like a grenade went off inside JFK's head because we have one bullet here, another bullet strikes and hits here, and they are at an angle, and all of a sudden JFK's head opens up, and all we're going to see is fragments. That's all they found inside of his brain and inside of his head. That's all they found over in the back of the seat. So you see, there's explanations for everything. I had to look for them all. Like I said, in my discoveries and in my research, I have made hundreds of discoveries. Okay, I'm proud of the research I've done. Whether people believe me or not, I'm proud of the research I've done. I can go in details. I know I'm not going to be asked to be in any conferences, okay, because I disagree with a lot of other people, okay. I know we'll never be on a panel where I'm going to be with all these other researchers and we're going to sit down and talk about it. I know that will never happen because they don't want to say they're wrong, okay. As a researcher, if you make a mistake and if you're wrong, you have to admit it, okay. As a researcher, yeah, I've made mistakes myself. But I backtracked myself because the reason why I made those mistakes because I was following other people's research. In the beginning, I was making mistakes because in the beginning I said there wasn't, there is no evidence to show Oswald was one of the assassins. So Oswald was innocent. Oswald was a patsy as he claimed. But as I go in further and I get more information and I start viewing more and I start going over more and I'm finding more evidence and stuff, I'm going to say, okay, yeah, Oswald was one of the assassins. Oswald did take a shot. So see, I was wrong about Oswald being a patsy. I admit it. Okay, but other people don't want to admit it. Nobody wants to admit it that they're wrong because if they tell somebody they're wrong and someone else is right, and all their followers are going to go over to this person here. That's the reason why. But like I said, I want to make a video. I was going to make it. This probably was going to be a two-parter, but I'm just going to make one video here and just point out some facts here. And talk about discoveries I made. There's a lot of discoveries I made into the JFK assassination that would take hours to go over. Okay, like I said, if people don't believe me, I found a gunman inside shelter number 3. Okay, I've ID'd the gunman as 2 of the tramps, as you see right here. I found a gunman on the second floor of the county records building, which again people overlook. I found a gunman on the rooftop of the county records building, right here in this Zapruder film and stuff. Okay, again, they overlook. Okay, I found shots, 13 shots. I found location of 5 gunmen. Uh, just like the so-called dog man that everybody wanted to continue on saying that he's the dog man. Here, this is the guy that assassinated JFK. Okay, which really was actually one of the guys in the Mormon photo, because I point this out, or which I'll bring this image up here. As you see, I even time frame all the images and stuff. But like I pointed out in my research and stuff, the so-called dog man is not a dog man. It was just actually one of these guys that's standing here. We see the groundskeeper here and the other old man right here that we see in much more film and in the Mormon photo. But you see there's only 2 men there at that time because this man is now coming down the steps to join the other 2 men, which we see in the Mormon photo, which are right here. Okay, which I'll zoom in because I'm probably blocking the view of that guy there. So I'll bring him up here. We have him already down there. We have him already down there. This is your so-called dog man right here. It's not, he wasn't a dog man, right? It was just another gentleman walking down the steps and joining these 2 men standing right here as JFK's limo and them goes by. So see, I find the evidence, okay? Other people talk about their research, and just like this guy here said, he's seen Jack Ruby run down the hillside and gets into a parked car right there underneath the underpass and stuff. And as I showed you in my research, there is no vehicle parked there, okay? So his story was false. I can point that out as well. I don't like pointing out people's stories and stuff, like I said, because I don't want no conflict between it. But things have to be viewed, things have to be seen, you know, and we have to go over everything. Like I said, whether people believe my research or not, I give myself credit because I did go in a lot of depth and a lot of details, which no other researcher in the world has ever done on this case. Okay, I don't want to try to say that I'm better than they are because I'm not better than nobody. Nobody's better than anybody. I guarantee you that. Okay, nobody's smarter than anybody else as well. It's just what separates me from their research and stuff is because I have to look at it because not only I'm trying to do an investigation research, but I want to know. I want to know. I need to know. Okay, and if I find out, I want to present it to the public and to the people because they have the right to know as well. So, like I said, I'm making this video here. There was a lot of discoveries I made into the JFK assassination and stuff like that, whether people want to believe me or not. You'll find all this evidence and a lot more in my book, Evidence of Conspiracy. And that's the reason why, another reason why I said that this is the only book you ever need in JFK Assassination, because in the JFK Assassination, you're going to see all these claims and a lot more where I've done research on and evidence I'm going to present and everything else that's in my book. And like I said, there's a lot. Okay, my book is like almost like cover to cover of evidence. Okay, the only book. I mean, a lot of people has different books out there. I have different books as well, but I try to combine them all in one so it saves people money and stuff like that. But like I said, if you want to believe other people's research and stuff like that, that's fine and dandy. I understand, and I know people still has questions. Okay, but I'm bombarded, like I said, with thousands of questions every day, and I don't have the time to cover over every question. And as you see here, I made a lot of discoveries that no other researcher has done into the case, and I present the evidence right along with it that they can't do as well. Okay, and I'm sorry to say it that way. It's not trying to be mean or nothing like that, but I want everybody to have the full understanding of what's going on, what took place, what kind of evidence is out there. As you see here, just in this alone, there's a lot of evidence was overlooked over 50 years. No one's never seen Oswald's fingerprint on the bullet casing because no one's never bothered looking for it. No one's never bothered looking for a gunman inside of shop number 3 or shots being taken from that location because no one was looking for it. No one was looking for no gunman in the Daltex building on the rooftop of that building. Not the Daltex building, excuse me, the county records building. No one's looking for no gunman there in that location because no one was never looking for it. Okay, I was looking at every different angle and every different position where a gunman could be at. Okay, like I said, I found Mrs. Setzman coming up Mr. Zapruder's ears. There's evidence out there that proves there was a conspiracy, which I showed there was a conspiracy. That's why my book, Evidence of a Conspiracy, which is facts. Fact. My book can be called Evidence of Conspiracy because in that book has the evidence of a conspiracy into JFK assassination. Whether you want to believe a little bit of my research or all of my research or part of my research, no matter which way you show it or talk about it, I have the evidence to prove once and for all there was a conspiracy into the JFK assassination. I present that evidence. I found that evidence and I present it, which is fact. Okay, so whether people want to believe it or not, Evidence of Conspiracy, when I made that book or when I wrote that book, whether you believe one part of my research or another part of my research or another part of my research, okay, it all depends what part you believe in, okay, or if you believe it all or if you don't believe it at all, it's understandable as well. But like I said, no matter which way you look at it, my book is called Evidence of Conspiracy because in that book shows evidence of a conspiracy into the JFK assassination. It doesn't have to say the FBI was behind or CIA or government, KGB or none. It has nothing to do with that. It has a point of the fact of can anybody prove there was a conspiracy in the JFK assassination? And how you prove that? You have to prove there was more than 3 shots. You have to have the evidence to show there was more than 3 shots. I present that. I present gunmen with rifles in their hands and a location. I present that. Okay. I show there was 13 shots there, and I can go over the location. And today in Dilly Plaza, 2 of those bullet holes still can be seen, touch, and prod today on that manhole cover. So there's the evidence. So it shows you more than 3 shots fired. It shows you 5 shots are fired. Am I correct? That shots there lines up with the shots to the curb. The curb and the manhole cover shots line right up to where the rooftop of the county records building. So there is your conspiracy. Now you have a different location of a different gunman. So see, the evidence is there. The evidence has always been there, and it's always going to be there. Okay, so my book is the only book you ever need in conspiracy of the JFK assassination, because evidence of conspiracy is the only book that holds the evidence of what really, shows you there is evidence out there of a conspiracy, and it's in my book, Evidence of Conspiracy. I think I already went over half an hour or so on this video. But like I said, there's a lot of discoveries. Like I said, if I went into detail over all, it's going to take forever to go over. But I just, show you here, as you see behind me, you see nothing but pure evidence and pure research done there. And, and a lot of discoveries I made. So don't forget that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to tell your friends about it. Share this information and other information out from other videos on your social medias and stuff like that. In the description down below, you're going to find a site where you can order my book, Evidence of Conspiracy, the only book you ever need in JFK Assassination. Get on paperback or Kindle. Thank you, and all have a pleasant day.